Today we're going to scratch the surface on a topic that's applicable to just about everyone: emergency preparedness. Every place on Earth has its own set of natural disasters, and Hawaii is no different. Let's begin. Let's go through a quick and dirty prep list. How do I get prepared? Get informed about hazards that may affect you and your family in the case of an emergency. Develop an emergency plan. Collect and assemble a disaster supplies kit. Learn where to seek shelter from all types of hazards. Identify the community warning systems and evacuation routes. Include in your plan required information from community and school plans. Learn what to do for specific hazards. Practice and maintain your plan. We hear the word plan a lot. That's because plan and prep are the most important aspects of responding to an emergency. Planning. OSHA standards require companies with more than 10 employees to have a written emergency action plan, and companies with fewer than 10 employees must communicate their plans orally. They can also have written emergency action plans. Chain of command. During the planning stages, the employer will designate an emergency response coordinator and backup coordinator. Duties of the coordinators include public information and communication to aid for assistance outside the company workplace. Emergency response team. Members of the emergency response team are trained in the use of various types of fire extinguishers, first aid, CPR, bloodborne pathogen, and other hazardous material training. Response activity. It is the manager's responsibility to provide emergency alarms and ensure employees know how to report emergencies. All employees and new hires are required to receive annual training when procedures have been revised, updated, or when exercises show that employee performance is inadequate. Employees exposed to hazardous materials need appropriate personal protective equipment available at all times. Always have first aid supplies readily available to trained first response providers, emergency phone numbers, and outside responders such as fire department, hospital emergency room, poison control, EMS providers, etc. Watch this video on some of the worst natural disasters. It'll give you a feel for what we're going to discuss. Hurricane season in the eastern North Pacific starts May 15th or as necessary and ends November 30th. You have different categories of storms, ranging anywhere from a tropical storm with winds from 39 to 73 miles per hour all the way up to Category 5 hurricane with winds 156 miles per hour and above. Some of the hurricane hazards you can expect are high surf advisory and possibly storm surge. A storm surge is a mound of water produced when a hurricane moves across a large body of water. Driving wind pushes the water so quickly that it piles up on the water in front of it, producing a mound of water that's higher than normal sea level. As the storm approaches land, the storm surge can be pushed up the beach and deep into inlets and inland areas. It arrives as a rush of water and can be capped by large, strong, pounding waves. Storm surge flooding is often the most deadly and damaging impact of a hurricane. We have flash floods, landslides, flying debris, blackouts. All these are associated with hurricane. A tsunami is a long, high sea wave caused by an earthquake, a submarine landslide, or other disturbance, sometimes mistakenly referred to as tidal waves. Earthquake is when there's a sudden violent shaking of the ground, sometimes causing great destruction as a result of movements within the Earth's crust or sometimes volcanic action. A flood is the overflowing of a large amount of water beyond its normal confines, especially over what is normally dry land. A landslide, if you don't know, is the sliding down of a mass of earth. It could be rock or mud, trees, from a higher elevation to a lower elevation. And then fires. Pretty much we all know what fires are. But they can be caused by lightning, careless hikers, campers, any of that kind of stuff. All right, let's talk a little bit more about hurricanes. You need to know where to go. If you are ordered to evacuate, know the local hurricane evacuation routes to take, have a plan for where you can stay, contact your local emergency management agency for more information. Put together a disaster supply kit. You should have a flashlight, spare batteries, cash, first aid supplies, copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. If you're not in an area that's advised to evacuate and you decide to stay in your home, plan for adequate supplies in case you lose power and water for several days and you're not able to leave due to flooding or blocked roads. Make a family emergency communication plan. Many communities have text or emailing alert systems for emergency notification. To find out what alerts are available in your area, you can search the internet with your town, city, county name, and the word alerts. Preparing your home. Hurricane winds can cause trees and branches to fall, so before hurricane season, you should trim or remove damaged trees and limbs to keep you and your property safe. Secure loose rain gutters and downspouts, and clear any clogged areas or debris to prevent water damage to your property. You want the water to be able to drain off of your property and not flood. Reduce property damage by retrofitting to secure and reinforce the roof, windows, doors, and this can include garage doors. Purchase a portable generator or install a generator for use during power outages. Remember to keep generators and other alternate power heat sources outside, at least 20 feet away from windows and doors and eaves, and protected from moisture. Never try to power the house wiring by plugging a generator into a wall outlet. Consider building a FEMA safe room or ICC 500 storm shelter designed for protection from high winds and in locations above flooding levels. So, if you hear the term hurricane watch, that means that hurricane conditions are possible within the next 48 hours. What should you do? Well, review your evacuation route, listen to local officials, review the items in your disaster supply kit, and if it's been a while since you've looked at your disaster supply kit, you may need to add certain items to meet the household needs for children, parents, individuals with disabilities, and pets. If you hear hurricane warning, that's more serious. Conditions are expected within 36 hours. You should follow evacuation orders from local officials if given. Do not wait until the last minute when all the roads are jammed up. Check in with family and friends by texting or using social media. Follow the hurricane timeline preparedness checklist, depending upon when the storm is anticipated to hit and the impact that is projected for your location. So the hurricane comes and it goes, it leaves damage in its wake. What do? Again, listen to local officials for updates and instructions. Check in with family and friends using texting and social media. Avoid walking or driving through floodwaters. Just 6 inches of moving water can knock you down, and fast-moving water can sweep your vehicle away. Also, you don't really know how deep that water is. Avoid floodwater as it may be electrically charged from underground or down power lines and may hide dangerous debris or places where the ground is washed away. Photograph the damage to your property in order to assist in filing an insurance claim. Do what you can to prevent further damage to your property, like putting a tarp on a damaged roof, because your insurance may not cover additional damage that occurs after the storm. Tsunamis. Also known as seismic sea waves, tsunamis are a series of enormous waves created by an underwater disturbance such as an earthquake, landslide, volcanic eruption, or meteorite. A tsunami can move hundreds of miles per hour in the open ocean and smash into land with waves as high as 100 feet or more. Before a tsunami, there are some following things you can do to protect yourself, your family, and your property. To begin preparing, you should build an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Talk to everyone in your household about what to do if a tsunami occurs. Create and practice an evacuation plan for your family. Familiarity may save your life. Don't just talk about it, practice it. Be able to follow your escape route at night and during inclement weather. You should be able to reach your safe location on foot within 15 minutes. If that's not possible because you live in such a flat area, do the best you can. Practicing your plan makes the appropriate response more of a reaction, requiring less thinking during an actual emergency. If the school evacuation plan requires you to pick up your children from your school or from another location, you need to know. Be aware telephone lines during a tsunami watch or warning may be overloaded and routes to and from your schools may be jammed. Knowing your community's warning systems and disaster plans, including evacuation routes, is also something to do. During a tsunami, follow the evacuation order issued by authorities and evacuate immediately. Take your animals with you. Move inland to higher ground immediately. Pick areas 100 feet, 30 meters above sea level, or go as far as 2 miles inland, away from the coastline. If you can't get this high or go that far, go as high or as far as you can. Every foot inland or upward might make a difference. Stay away from the beach. Never go down to the beach to watch a tsunami come in. Rather, if you can see the wave, you're too close to escape it. Caution. If there is noticeable recession in the water away from shore, this is nature's tsunami warning and it should be heeded. Immediately move away from the shoreline. Save yourself, not your possessions. After a tsunami, return home only after officials tell you it's safe. A tsunami is a series of waves that may continue for hours. Don't assume that after one wave the danger is over. The next wave might be larger than the first one. Go to a designated public shelter. If you've been told to evacuate or you feel it's unsafe to remain in your home, you can text the word shelter plus your zip code to this number. Text to 43362. And you can find the nearest shelter in your area. Avoid disaster areas. Your presence might interfere with emergency response operations and put you at further risk from the residual effects of floods. Stay away from debris in the water. It may pose a safety hazard to people or pets. Earthquakes. Earthquakes are sudden rolling or shaking events caused by movement under the Earth's surface. Earthquakes happen along cracks in the Earth's surface called fault lines and can be felt over large areas, although they usually last less than about a minute. Earthquakes cannot be predicted, although scientists are working on ways to predict them. Before an earthquake, you want to look around the places that you spend time. Identify safe places, like when you're sitting there at the restaurant, or you're sitting there in school, or you're sitting there or standing or walking. You want to look around and try and find safe places like under a sturdy piece of furniture or against an interior wall in your home, office, or school, so that when the shaking starts, you can just drop to the ground, cover your head and neck with your arms, and if there's a safer place nearby, crawl to it and hold on. Just like you've heard stop, drop, and roll your whole life, now they're telling us for earthquake, drop, cover, and hold on. To react quickly, you must practice often. You may only have seconds to protect yourself in an earthquake. Practice being in the mindset that you are constantly aware of your surroundings to the point that if an earthquake automatically or all of a sudden happened, you would know where to go. You wouldn't have to look for a place to go. Before an earthquake occurs, secure items that could fall and cause injuries. Secure your bookshelf to the wall, mirrors, light fixtures, these types of things that could fall and hurt someone. Make sure that they're secure. Store critical supplies, water, medication, and important documents in a safe place. Plan how you'll communicate with family members, including multiple methods by making a family emergency communication plan. During an earthquake, if you're inside a building, you should stay where you are until the shaking stops. Don't try and run down the flight of stairs or 3 flights of stairs and try and get outside. Definitely do not use an elevator. Don't stand in a doorway, as this does not provide protection from falling or flying objects, and you might not be able to remain standing. Drop down on your hands and knees so the earthquake doesn't knock you down. Drop to the ground before the earthquake drops you. Cover your head and neck with your arms to protect yourself from falling debris. If you're in danger from falling objects and you can move safely, crawl for additional cover under a sturdy desk or table. If there's a low furniture or an interior wall or corner nearby and the path is clear, these may also provide some additional cover. Stay away from glass windows, outside doors and walls, and anything that could fall, such as light fixtures or furniture. If you're outside when you feel the shaking, you should move away from buildings and street lights and utility wires. Once you're in the open, drop cover and hold on. Stay there until the shaking stops. This might not be possible in a city, so you may need to duck inside a building to avoid falling debris. If you're in a moving vehicle when you feel the shaking, stop as quickly and safely as possible and stay in the vehicle. Avoid stopping near or under buildings, trees, overpasses, and utility wires. Proceed cautiously once the earthquake has stopped. Avoid roads, bridges, or ramps that the earthquake may have damaged, and go to an open space away from damaged areas. If you're trapped, don't move around a lot and kick up dust. If you have a cell phone with you, use it to call or text for help. Tap on a pipe, a wall, use a whistle if you have one. Do anything like that the sound carries really far so that rescuers can locate you and get you out. Once the area is safe, monitor local news reports via battery-operated radio, TV, social media, and cell phone text alerts for emergency information and instructions. If there's aftershocks, which is likely, be prepared to drop cover and hold on. Listen to local officials. Learn about the emergency plans that have been established in your area by your state and local government. In any emergency, always listen to the instructions given by local emergency management officials. How does a flood occur? Any place where rain falls is vulnerable. Although rain is not the only impetus for flood, a flood occurs whenever water overflows or inundates land that's normally dry. This can happen in a multitude of ways. Most common is when rivers or streams overflow their banks. Some basic safety tips: turn around, don't drown. Remember that. Turn around, don't drown. Avoid walking or driving through floodwaters, and 2 feet of water can sweep your vehicle away. If there's a chance of flash flooding, move immediately to higher ground. Flash floods are the #1 cause of weather-related deaths in the United States. If floodwaters rise around your car but the water's not moving, abandon the car and move to higher ground. Do not leave the car and enter moving water. Avoid camping or parking along streams, rivers, and creeks during heavy rainfall. These areas can flood quickly and with little warning. If you hear a flood watch announced, it means be aware. Conditions are right for flooding to occur in your area. You should turn on your TV or radio. You will receive the latest weather updates and emergency instructions. Beforehand, you should know where to go. You may need to reach higher ground quickly and on foot. Build or restock your emergency preparedness kit. Prepare your home. Bring in outdoor furniture and move important indoor items to the highest possible floor. This will help protect them from flood damage. Disconnect electrical appliances and do not touch electrical equipment if you are wet or standing in water. You could be electrocuted. If instructed, turn off your gas and electricity at the main switch or valve. This helps prevent fires and explosions. If you hear flood warning, that's different from flood watch. Flood warning means take action. Flooding is either happening or it will happen shortly. You should move immediately to higher ground or stay on high ground if you're already there. Evacuate if directed. Avoid walking or driving through floodwaters. Turn around, don't drown. After the flood, return home only when authorities say it's safe. Be aware of areas where floodwaters have receded and watch out for debris. Floodwaters often erode roads and walkways. Do not attempt to drive through areas that are still flooded. Avoid standing water as it may be electrically charged from underground or downed power lines. Photograph damage to your property for insurance purposes. Landslides. The following are some things that you can do to protect yourself, your family, and your property from the effects of a landslide or a debris flow. To begin preparing, you should build an emergency kit, make a family communications plan. You heard that before? Prepare for landslides by following proper land use procedures. Avoid building near steep slopes, close to mountain edges, near drainage ways, or along natural erosion valleys. Become familiar with the land around you. Learn whether debris flow have occurred in your area by contacting local officials. Slopes where debris flows have occurred in the past are likely to experience them in the future. Get a ground assessment of your property. Consult a professional for advice on appropriate preventative measures for your home or business, such as flexible pipe fittings, which can better resist breakage. Protect your property by planting ground cover on slopes and building retaining walls. In mudflow areas, build channels or deflection walls to direct the flow around buildings, but be aware. However, if you build walls to divert debris flow and the flow lands on a neighbor's property, you may be liable for damages. If you are at risk from a landslide, talk to your insurance agent. Debris flow may be covered by flood insurance policies from the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP. Recognize landslide warning signs. Changes occur in your landscape, such as patterns of stormwater drainage on slopes, especially the places where runoff water converges, land movement, small slides, flows, or progressively leaning trees or power lines. Doors or windows stick or jam for the first time. New cracks appear in plaster, tile, brick, or foundations. Outside walls, walks, or stairs begin pulling away from the building. Slowly developing, widening cracks appear on the ground or on paved areas, such as streets or driveways. Underground utility lines might break. Bulging ground appears at the base of a slope. Water breaks through the ground in new locations. Fences, retaining walls, utility poles, or trees tilt or move. You might hear a faint rumbling sound that increases in volume as the landslide nears. The ground slopes downward in one direction and may begin shifting in that direction under your feet. You might hear unusual sounds like trees cracking or boulders knocking together, and this might indicate moving debris. Collapsed pavement, mud, fallen rocks, and other indications of possible debris flow can be seen when driving. Embankments along the roadsides are particularly susceptible to landslides. During a severe storm, stay alert and awake. Many deaths from landslides occur while people are sleeping. Listen to local news stations on a battery-powered radio for warnings of heavy rainfall. Listen for unusual sounds that might indicate moving debris. Again, trees cracking, boulders knocking together. Move away from the path of a landslide or debris flow as quickly as possible. The danger from a mud flow increases near stream channels and with prolonged heavy rains. Mud flows can move faster than you can walk or run. Look upstream before crossing. Don't cross a bridge if you see a mud flow approaching. Avoid river valleys and low-lying areas. If you're near a stream or channel, be alert for any sudden increase or decrease in water flow and notice whether the water changes from clear to muddy. Such changes might mean there's debris flow activity upstream, so be prepared to move quickly. Worst case scenario, curl into a tight ball and protect your head if escape is not possible. After a landslide, you should go to a designated public shelter if you've been told to evacuate or if you feel it's unsafe to remain in your home area. Stay away from the landslide area. There might be danger of additional slides. Listen to local radio or television stations for the latest emergency information. Watch for flooding, which may occur after a landslide or debris flow. Floods sometimes follow landslides and debris flows because they may both be started by the same event. Check for injured and trapped persons near the slide without entering the direct slide area. Direct rescuers to their locations. Look for and report broken utility lines and damaged roadways and railways to appropriate authorities. Reporting potential hazards will get the utilities turned off as quickly as possible, preventing further hazard and injury. Check the building foundation, the chimneys, surrounding land for damage. Damage to foundations, chimneys, surrounding land may help you assess the safety of the area. Replant damaged ground as soon as possible, since erosion caused by loss of ground cover can lead to flash flooding and additional landslides in the future. Some other hazards that we may have to deal with either in the workplace or at home. Terrorism. Definitions of terrorism in the U.S. Code. There's international terrorism and domestic terrorism. It's exactly what it sounds like. International is outside of the borders of the U.S. Inside is domestic. They involve violent acts or acts dangerous to human life that violate federal or state law. They appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population to influence the policy of government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of government by mass destruction, assassination, kidnapping. However, anyone who discovers a hazardous substance release or oil spill is encouraged to contact the federal government, regardless of whether they are the responsible party or not. All it takes is a single phone call to the National Response Center. That's 1-800-424-8802. A word of caution: any kind of a fluid, gas, liquid type spill, don't approach it. Just leave the area and either call 911 or call the National Response Center. Again, we don't deal with quantities of hazardous substances to the point that we would have to be concerned with this unless we drove upon an overturned tanker truck or something like that, and there were chemicals leaking, spilling out all over the place. We might want to report it then. Economic catastrophe. An economic collapse is essentially a severe version of an economic depression where an economy is in complete distress. It could be for months or years or possibly even decades. A total economic collapse is characterized by economic depression, civil unrest, and highly increased poverty levels. Nuclear EMP blast. A lot of people like on YouTube are talking about this as something that maybe Russia could do or China could do or North Korea could do or something like that. That would put the United States, if the bomb exploded over part of the United States or over all of the United States, it would cause an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, to come down and fry basically all of our electronic circuits and components. making our laptops not work, our cell phones not work, our electricity grid, our power grid would go down. It would be pretty disastrous. We also have, provided by the Hawaiian Electric Company, a little manual called Information Handbook for Emergency Preparedness. Be prepared, be informed. I believe it's page 13, Emergency Preparedness Checklist. So you'll want to look at that. You can go to HECO and get one for free. You can download one off their website, hawaiianelectric.com, for free. Okay, now it's time to take the quiz. Thank you, mahalo, and aloha.